ride.
Not a problem.
I'm so excited.
You ready?
About Flex Day.
Seatbelt?
Seatbelt.
Let's go.
Ready.
Here we go.
Yes.
Flex Day on the way.
Flex Day. Gotta come in.
Right. You know, we need a little music. What do you
I
think?
think we do.
All right. Here we go. Yes, indeed.
Sunshine, she's here. You can take a break.
Y'all.
Hot air balloon that could go to space. With the air, like I don't care, baby, by the way. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like home without a roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you.
Was that David over there?
Oh my God. Yes.
Okay, let's get it.
We gotta go pick up David.
Yeah. He's happy.
He's always happy.
He's always happy. The happiest guy we know.
DJ.
Okay, it looks like DJ. Right, there he is.
There he is.
Here we go. Okay. DJ!
Hey.
How are you?
What's going on, Charles?
Oh, we're just
happy.
heading the Flex Day.
At the Flex Day.
All right.
You ready?
You in?
I'm
You in?
absolutely ready. I'm
Let's
thinking
go.
up there, but
Let's go.
wait a minute. I like this song, but is there anything else on the radio? Like,
Like what? Oh, I know.
You got it?
I got you. Hang on. Let me get out of the parking lot here, but I got you.
I am the IBPI.
You are the IVPI.
Really?
I think you need some more acronyms, but yes. Here we go.
Vice President Trump.
There you go. Okay. I think it's what we need.
That's what I'm talking
Here we
about.
go.
Right out.
Nothing says back to school like little ABC 1, 2, 3. Okay. We good? ABC. Easy as 1, 2, 3. Simple as do, re, mi. ABC. 1, 2, 3. Baby, you and me, girl. Easy as 1, 2, 3. Simple as do, re, mi. ABC. 1, 2, 3. Baby, you and me, girl. Who's this?
Uh-oh.
Who is
Who is
this?
Well, that's right. We gotta go get the new guy.
Who's the new guy?
Peter King.
Who?
No.
Peter King.
Philip.
Peter King's the congressman in New York.
Okay.
Oh, new guy, Philip.
Philip King. Okay. You sure? You sure he's yours?
Yeah.
Okay. There we go. Let's see.
Here he comes.
Okay, let's see
On
who
the
this
other side. Peter.
Philip Peter.
Philip, Peter, new guy.
There you go.
Hey, Philip.
Philip. Good.
We are hanging in and living the dream.
That's right. Flex Day.
On our way to Flex Day, man. I'm trying to make it happen.
Well, hey, I'm a new guy. Tell me a little bit about Flex Day. What goes on?
Oh, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. Listen to some speakers.
All right. Campus community coming together, kicking off the beginning of the school year.
And introducing all the new faces.
That's right.
All the new faces.
All the new faces.
And you're one of them, apparently.
It sounds like it.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, hey, you know, we've been doing a lot of that promise thing. Stuff's coming up pretty
Oh, the
quick
promise
here.
program. Yeah.
Pretty important, right?
Yeah, no, I would say so. Great opportunity.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Promise. Mitch Bailey for the win.
We promise.
There we go.
Come with punchline.
Yes.
Always coming up with
This
the
is why they
punchlines.
stick me at the district office.
Who else? Who else? We gotta get somebody else.
We're getting someone else?
Are we?
I think we're missing somebody.
My question is, why are we in the campus car? Oh, never mind.
Oh,
It's at home.
yeah, we're not going to open that one. Yeah,
Moving right along.
long. Yes.
Well, Michelle.
Oh my God.
Michelle. Michelle. Hey,
Michelle.
Michelle.
Oh,
Michelle. We gotta get Michelle.
Money lady.
The money lady. We got to get the money lady.
Yeah. Let's see. Michelle.
Oh, Michelle.
Where's Michelle?
Somebody. Oh, I think it's here.
Michelle.
Oh boy. Here we go.
There she is.
Oh, she looks happy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh boy, here we go. I think we're in trouble.
How am I going to end up in the middle?
I don't know.
Make anything.
I think we're in trouble here.
I usually ride the middle, but hey!
How are we doing?
That's right. You know we're already late.
Oh, we got to get the flags. We got it. Yeah.
Don't complain. We got plenty of time. Of course.
I don't know, Mitch.
We do have
Don't blame
insurance,
me.
right?
Yes, we always have insurance.
We need to get out right now.
Oh,
No, we got insurance. We got insurance.
I think we're good.
We are fine. We are A-okay.
Just enjoy the ride to Flex
We
Day.
are heading to Flex Day. We have plenty of time. We're going.
We're
Yes.
just trying to run through the tape to get the flags day.
That's right.
Okay.
I am ecstatic.
Suit yourselves.
Uh-oh.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
This is your cut?
This is my cut.
Yeah, turn that up.
Girls hit you, hallelujah. Ooh, girls hit you, hallelujah. Ooh, hit you, hallelujah. 'Cause Uptown Funk don't give it to you. 'Cause Uptown Funk don't give it to you. 'Cause Uptown Funk don't give it to you. Saturday night and we in the front. Don't believe it, just watch.
Hey, how we doing at Kenyatta?
Don't believe me, just watch. 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 Hey, hey, oh. Stop. Wait a minute.
Okay, we're here.
Thanks, Mitch.
Thank Mitch.
Have a great Flex Day and have a great school year. See you guys later.
All right, on the other side.
Everybody out.
Get out that way. We gotta
Everybody
go out
out.
this way.
Thanks, Mitch.
See you later.
All right, Mitch.
Mitch. You the mayor? Bye.
Want to give a shout out to Mitch Bailey, our Chief of Staff for the district, for his participation in the video. Sorry he couldn't make it today. I also want to introduce the team. As you know, give it up for DJ, Vice President of Instruction. David Johnson. New guy, AKA Philip King, Vice President of Student Services. Woo! Insurance person, AKA Michelle Marquez, Vice President of Administrative Services. And new and improved, Kenyatta College Sneakers. Yes, we were presented with a challenge by Skyline College. Last year I had the jacket, and it became known as the Kenyatta College jacket. And so then Regina Stanback-Stroud, who was hosting, for those of you who were there yesterday, presented a little challenge and made some sort of reference to a cape. And I was like, really? Are we trying to go there? I said, we got to up our game. So we won the challenge with our sneakers. So we walked in yesterday. So I'm asking Jay to make those available in the bookstore later this year, so they'll be coming soon. But we got those on the internet. It's amazing what you can get. If you go ahead, you have a seat. Have a seat. Thank you so much. I also want to acknowledge in the audience our favorite trustee and board president, Tom Moore. Thank you for being here. He'll be participating a little later. I also want to do some thank yous for Flex Day for the Professional Learning Committee. Thank you so much to Aaron Moore, to Gohar Mamjin, Rachel Corrales, Mike Walsh, IT, our ITS folks, our facilities team, and all the Flex Session presenters. I want to say thank you in advance for making this day possible. I also want to take the opportunity, if you are a new faculty member to Kenyatta, please take the chance to, we want to welcome you and acknowledge you. We have our new faculty here. If you are a new classified person to Kenyatta, I want to welcome you as well. Also want to give a shout out to Jose and Michael because we are currently live streaming. So they made this possible. So we are live streaming Flex Day or this part of the presentation, not throughout the day, for those who cannot be in the room. So thank you so much. So I want to take this opportunity to welcome back all of our faculty and staff and some students we may have in the room. As we begin a new academic year, I want to take this opportunity to let you know how much I appreciate your support and your work in making our college successful. We anticipate this coming academic year to be very exciting as we look forward to working in partnership with you on the following activities: accreditation. I also want to do a shout out to Mike Garcia, who's agreed to be the coach for accreditation, so be working with us as well as our entire teams. You will see additional information on this on the website, as well as we did send out a campus-wide email yesterday that has links attached to accreditation, giving you additional information. But we will also be sending out an announcement to ask for volunteers as we move forward through our process. Also, too, I want to acknowledge and let you know that we have our college 50th anniversary coming up. So plans are in full swing to celebrate the college's 50th anniversary in 2018. If you're interested in assisting with the planning and implementation of festivities, please contact Megan, our Director of Marketing. Where's Megan? Thank you, Megan. I also want to say that we are now, I want to acknowledge and congratulate, I have to give credit to Vice President David Johnson. We have now increased faculty professional development, meaning that we're giving that portion back over to the faculty. And Leslie Ware, I don't know if Leslie's in the room, she's agreed to assist in taking part of that on. You will see more of that also in the welcome back email, and also Dr. Johnson will be putting out additional information to faculty. Very happy about that. Also, Rebecca Taveau, she's in the room, want to give a shout out to the ACEs. The Academic Committee for Equity and Success is made up of faculty, staff, students, and administrators. The committee examines institutional data on equity gaps and collaborates ongoing and new initiatives, robust professional development, and student support services to address the equity gaps. For those of you who were at opening day yesterday, we had a really good speaker that talked a lot about the issue of access and equity. The chancellor spent some time talking about the events that took place, unfortunately, in Charlottesville, and how we are moving forward and building our platform for equity. So I just look forward to working closely with the ACES committee, and I know that they have several events coming up that's building upon that equity platform. I want to just acknowledge too that we are working very hard to continue to improve transparency and process in integrated planning and budgeting. So I know Michelle Marquez is very excited with the work that they're going to be doing in administrative services and working more towards planning and budgeting. Kenyatta College has kicked off our Kenyatta College Promise. I want to thank the team and Philip King and Margie and several folks in student services for putting together the website and making that happen so quickly. I know that we have Promise scholarship students in the double digits, but you'll get more information about that throughout the year. And also, if you refer back to the letter, there are some links you can point to. This past year, the college took on the critical endeavor of creating a new educational master plan that provides direction to the college on what we want to accomplish over the next 5 years. The EMP establishes an open planning process and opportunities to effectively serve our students and our community. And as your president, I pledge to continue to work side by side with you in partnership to make our vision a reality. So I want to thank the EMP team and know that we'll continue in that working partnership. Also, for those of you who are new to Kenyatta or new to the district, especially not just in administration, we've had some transfers and some changes in support of the college and our sister campuses. And with retirements, we've experienced recent changes in administration. I want to reassure you that these changes are all connected to opportunities. And while you may see a few new faces, most are not new to the district, but to the college. And I don't know if those of you who have made some transfers or transitions, if you want to take this opportunity to stand, we'd be happy to acknowledge you, but I know that we have some people that have transferred from CSM and from Skyline, but we look forward to working with you and having you a part of the Kenyatta College team. So, on behalf of our entire college, I want to thank the faculty, the staff, and the community for their dedicated work and service, and I look forward to working with all of you and continuing our partnership in the upcoming year. I also want to take this time, too, to acknowledge the extraordinary accomplishments that took place this past year. First of all, Kenyatta College has been successful in actually being awarded $8.4 million in grants and as an Hispanic serving institution. So I want to just thank all of those individuals from the STEM Center, from the ESO Adelante program, from the HSI, from the Aspires program, for all of their work. That's $8 million that's come to the college. I also want to give a shout out to Kenyatta in the community. For those of you who have worked with that group and with the outreach team, they have participated this past year in 83 events and reached out to more than 10,000 people throughout San Mateo and San Francisco County. I also want to acknowledge Maggie Diaz, our Spark Point coordinator, and Adolfo Leve, Spark Point director, for their tireless work in increasing access, but also services to many of our students in need through the Spark Point program. If you've not had a chance to visit the program and the work that they're doing, it's in Building 9. I wanted to take this opportunity as we have been given additional resources and acknowledgement for that work. Kenyatta College, Kenyatta Cash Rewards students for smart money management. And last year, in partnership with Financial Aid, 65 students met with financial coaches and will be receiving incentives totaling nearly $3,700 for performing positive financial behaviors. So I just want to say thank you to the Spark Point program. I want to do a shout out to our Kenyatta Dreamers Task Force. They've been doing extraordinary work over the past year. It's a task force, for most of you who may know, conceptualized, developed, and opened Kenyatta's Dream Center in Building 9, which will celebrate its first anniversary on August 30th. The Dream Center is a safe space for dreamers and allies, offering resources with an emphasis on services for undocumented students, such as immigration, legal counseling. So I want to thank you to the Dreamers Task Force. On to our staff and faculty. I want to acknowledge Eileen Pippins, Professor of Communication Studies, Humanities and Social Sciences. She presented Change It Now at the Social Justice Learning Community at the NCORE Conference 2017. Her presentation was on race and equity, and that was done in Fort Worth, Texas. So congratulations to Eileen. I also want to recognize Gerardo Pacheco, our faculty in ESL, Humanities and Social Sciences. He was a keynote speaker at the 6th annual OYAI Latino Youth Conference here in Redwood City. I also want to acknowledge Garth Busey, one of our ESL faculty, Humanities and Social Sciences. He published a science fiction e-novel listed Atmosphere, We Don't Orbit But Fall the Same. It's Smashwords 2016. The story described on Amazon.com as a struggle for survival between two alien species that hinges on an unlikely collaboration. So that was given a shout out yesterday as well. Wanted to also acknowledge because this is one of our own here at Kenyatta. I also want to shout out to Misha Maggie, Student Life and Leadership Manager. She was appointed as president of the California Community Colleges Student Affairs Association. Congratulations to Misha. Also want to do another shout out to Adolfo, our director of Spark Point. Presented How Does the Integrated Services Model Influence College Persistence and Retention Rates at the DREAM 2017 conference in San Francisco. Also want to acknowledge Professor Amelito Enriquez, Professor of Engineering and Mathematics. He received an Outstanding Teaching Award from the American Society for Engineering Education, a national recognition for excellence in outstanding classroom performance, contributions to the Scholarship of Teaching and Partnership. in ASEE section meetings and local activities, and Dr. Enriquez is the first community college faculty to receive the award. So congratulations to Dr. Enriquez. Also want to acknowledge Vera Quiniano and Paul Noss. They actually collaborated on a 5-minute music video entitled Post-Concussionist. I don't know if you've seen it. I've seen it. It's extraordinary. And Professor Quiniano was inspired to compose the song, her first ever describing the after effects of a concussion that she suffered when her car was hit by a drunk driver. So that's, if you haven't had a chance to see it, it's a great video. Also want to acknowledge Patty Hall, Professor of Early Childhood Education, Business Design and Workforce Development. She was awarded the Paragon Award for New Phi Theta Kappa Advisors. And Paul Rochelli was also awarded the Continued Excellence Award for Phi Theta Kappa Advisors. Kenyatta College's Beta Zeta New Chapter has ranked our Phi Theta Kappa program 4th out of more than 1,200 chapters in the nation. So congratulations to the work that they're doing. I want to also give a shout out to Jenny Costello, Professor of ESL, Humanities and Social Sciences. She's a board member for the Alliance for Language Learners, Integration, Education, and Success, and co-project lead to develop their immigration integration framework, which will be shared with the Allies ESL Providers Network. And also, too, for those of you who may not know, this is Jenny's last semester with us. She says that she's going to be retiring in December, and we're trying to do as much as we can to convince her otherwise. So I have my own little campaign for that. Elisa Palmer, Professor of English, Humanities and Social Sciences, was awarded 2nd place in her memoir nonfiction category at Mendocino Coast Writers Conference 2017 Writing Contest. So congratulations to Professor Palmer. Diva Ward, Director of Student Support Services, and Dr. Tracy Wang, our interim dean, for planning, research, and institutional effectiveness, presented Determining Program Effectiveness Using Logic Model and Telling Your Data Story at the Annual Association for Colleges for Tutoring and Learning Assistance in Sacramento, and did a great job in representing Kenyatta College. I also want to give a shout out to Rhonda Cheney, Professor of Fashion Design and Merchandising, Business Design and Workforce Development. She taught a group of 21 students for a very successful summer 2017 study abroad in Florence, Italy. And I can't wait to see the slideshow, because I'm sure it was an extraordinary trip. The course is FASH 880, Introduction to Italian Fashion, is in partnership with the American Institute for Foreign Study. Students analyze the fashion industry from pre-World War II to the present day to gain an understanding of how Italian designers, fabrics, manufacturing, and merchandising have had global implications. So congratulations to Rhonda Cheney. I understand that was a very successful course and the students had a great time. Also want to acknowledge Professor Elsa Torres, Assistant Professor of Interior Design. Along with a team of 5 interior design students, Professor Torres worked this summer on a pro bono redesign proposal project for a room called The Spot at the Lewis and Joan Platt East Palo Alto Family YMCA in East Palo Alto. The Spot provides a safe and engaging space for preteens, teens, and seniors, some of whom are homeless. So we want to congratulate Professor Torres, the designers, and her students for putting that together. Last but surely not least, Mike Walsh, our theater design tech designer, director, Humanities and Social Sciences, along with Misha Maggie, Student Life and Leadership Manager, Student Services, and a group of Kenyatta College representatives led a team of student life and leadership volunteers to put together Kenyatta's award-winning float, dance, and walking teams for the annual 4th of July parade in Redwood City. And for those of you who may not know, I'm happy to announce that Kenyatta College received first place recognition in 4 categories for Redwood City 150 Years, Redwood City Diversity, Novelty Group, and Float, Amateur Non-Professional. So I understand that is our 4th win in a row. So I want to just congratulate the team on that. If any of you are interested, you are more than happy to come out and volunteer to participate in July in the parade in Redwood City. It's a wonderful opportunity. I am now going to invite Trustee Tom Moore to the stage because he has the pleasure of introducing our keynote speaker, Jonathan Lightman. So if you will join me, Trustee Moore. Tom.
Well, I'm really glad that President Moore was talking about all these other things right on the heels of that way you started out, because I was going to run to the Chancellor's office and say, do you know what's going on down there at that college? But I do want to say right at the outset how thrilled I am to be here. There isn't any place in education I would rather be than here with you. You may remember that when I came here, I had been a superintendent of a bunch of high schools. I had been a principal of 3 high schools. I had been in the business about 43 years. And when I came here, in 6 months, I knew this was the most important work in America, where all the theory, where all the understanding is brought to bear, and things are made to happen that transform people who come to you. I don't overstate it. You're extraordinary, and we can all learn from you. I asked President Moore if I could say a few words. She said, you're president of the board, you can say whatever you want. She was sincere, and I really appreciate it, and I appreciate her inviting me. She's made me feel welcome from the moment she came here. Didn't kick my slippers off the porch or anything. She made me feel as though I was still connected with this place. And I can't tell you what that has meant to me. And now and again, she'll ask me for an opinion and so on. It's the nature of the openness here. And that's just a couple of things, if you'll bear with me, I want to say about you. You do appreciate the transformative power of the educational process. You get it. You understand the power of relationships. I love to watch the relationship you develop with the individual student, because that empowers the student to really believe in himself or herself. And when you look at the demographics of your college, those relationships are powerful. And then there's this business of leveling the institution. It's more level here. It's in your DNA. We expect to be involved. We expect to have strong opinions. We expect to be heard. And we expect to be led in a way that it's a partnership. That's how you are. And you don't like it any other way. And I'll tell you what's powerful about that is it brings the insight of the educator into the decision-making where it belongs. And then there's this power of open and honest communication. We tell each other the truth as best we can understand the truth, and although it may be imperfect, we'll make the decision together, and the administration takes responsibility for it, and that's that. And then there's the power of the academy. I'll end it there. That is, we really believe in the intellectual life, and we think the liberal arts contribute to that very extensively. We want our young people to be both employable and educated. And if you look at Charlottesville, you know, does that discrete fact, doesn't it drive it home? And that's who you are, and that's who you want to be. And that's why you are so darn good at what you do. And it's why you are never satisfied. You just want to get better and better at it. Let me dwell on the board for just a moment before I introduce your guest today, and that is I got talked into running for the board. It wasn't something I was inclined to do, but I thought there were some really important matters that needed to be addressed, and I just want to cover them quickly because it pertains to what you do here. I thought the board needed to be much more focused on teaching and learning. I wanted everybody in the district through the board to get more focused on race, class, and privilege. Now, you have a lot of insight about that. Look at your students, who they are, where they come from, what they aspire to do, and what the history of abuse has been. So that's critical, and the board's had 3-4 sessions on that, and there will be more sessions on it. We had one study session devoted exclusively to teaching, the obstacles to teaching in the system, the need for tools in the system, the need for technology in the system. And I honestly believe the board has gotten going on that because it was faculty and staff who came to the board and said, listen, let us tell you what it's about, how we get the job done. And then finally the focus on strategic planning and the use of evidence and the connection of all that with what you do. I am a data wonk, I admit it. And I still believe that we do need to set targets, and we need to look at our investments in a way that we can determine what the outcomes are and move our resources around accordingly. That's a major thing in this organization. We're a basic aid district. We have $60 million more than a revenue limit district has. And so the question is, what do we do with it? And that's what a strategic plan is designed to help you understand, given what your goals are. So thank you for listening to me for a few minutes. And President Moore, you know, it's dangerous to ask me what I think. But thank you very, very much for the opportunity to do that. And now it is my great pleasure to introduce to you Jonathan Lightman, who is the Executive Director of the 11,000-member Faculty Association of the California Community Colleges and the Education Institute of the Faculty Association. He is the Senior Staff Member to the Board of Governors, the Education Institute of the Board of Directors, the Legislative Committee, and the Policy Committee. He's also the senior lobbyist focusing his advocacy work on the state budget and federal legislation. He has a BA in political science from Brandeis and is a lawyer trained at USC, serving on the Hale Moot Court Honors Program and the Shattuck, and has received the Shattuck Award for legal service. I didn't know anything about the Faculty Association, and so I went on its website early this morning. Listen to its goals. Its values, I should say. Faculty as the core of the system. Advocacy for the community college faculty. Commitment to student process, opportunity, and progress. Colleges as a driving force for economic growth and social cohesion, and collegiality through embracing diversity and professional development. I can't overstate the importance of that. If I lined you all up here and I said, what inspired you to do what you do? Some people would say, it was my coach. Most people would say, well, it was this teacher and that counselor or that person. I mean, that's the power of it. And then there's the insight that faculty and staff have that no one else has. So this association is rallying those ideas and going into the legislature saying, listen up, everybody, this is our point of view, and it's a powerful point of view, and it needs to be heard. I think I'm saying that correctly on behalf of Mr. Lightman, and he has carried this out remarkably well. There are a number of bills that came forward that he fought strongly and kept from happening that would have made it possible, for example, for people who have the money to get ahead of those people who don't have the money, take courses that they get to take because they can pay for it. Just one example. So it's my pleasure to introduce to you someone responsible for values that really align with what you believe in. Mr. Lightman.
Good morning. All right, let's try this side of the room. Good morning. Okay. Well, I want to, first of all, I want to thank President Moore. Jamila and I have known each other for many, many, many years. It's hard to believe, as a matter of fact. I said to her today, I said, I think it's like Highlander, where we go through these different life experiences together. And to Trustee Moore for that tremendous introduction. I would really like to clone you and bring you to Sacramento and have you help, because we need all the help we can get. So let me, let's see if this works here. Is this not working? Okay, what do I need to do? Okay, folks in the booth there. Okay, as we get this, beautiful. Okay, so let me just share you a little bit briefly about the Faculty Association of California Community Colleges, or FAC, as we like to call ourselves. Back in 1953, when the community colleges were then called junior colleges, thank you, and they were attached to K-12 districts. Back at the then Long Beach Junior College, there was a meeting. Incidentally, there were no faculty organizations at that time that spoke specifically to the needs of the then junior college faculty. A certain faculty member whose name has been lost to history stood up and said the following words. Enough with this. 3 words. 64 years later, we have 11,000 members. Because what he said at the time was faculty at the then junior colleges need their own voice in government. And interestingly enough, that although it is a faculty agenda over the decades, and history does have an opportunity as a chance to repeat itself many, many times, sometimes for good, sometimes not, that administrators, CEOs, trustees found that we were actually on the same side, and that this organization led the fight for an independent community college system separate from K-12, because we understood that we were distinct. And we now work alongside of the unions and the academic senate. We actually all work collaboratively. And what we understand is that it's a partnership to represent you. Your union does a magnificent job, and their specific role in terms of collective bargaining, and I understand your contract was just signed, which is tremendous, and they do provide advocacy services as well, and they also do that for K-12. Your academic senate for the 10+1 teaching and learning, and your professional association, whether you know it or not, we represent you in government with a voice that is neither tied to administration or to K-12. And again, as I said, we work collaboratively. And I'll talk a little bit more about that, because I want to invite you to become a member, and I've got a gift for you if you join. So hopefully this is working, because this is going to be a long here we go. Okay, so my presentation today is about making sense of the past and the present as we look to tomorrow. And it's impossible to have any conversation anywhere in America without discussing the current administration. But after the events of this weekend, there is little to be happy about. There is actually little to joke about. There was such a shock to the system, such a wake-up call, that if we have such an abandonment, not that we didn't know this already, but we saw this in front of our eyes this weekend in a way that we had hoped had gone away, but clearly hadn't. And that moral leadership has to be provided in other places, including at the community level, at the college level, in the classroom. So, this is what we know. Why Americans hate politics. Because politics comes from that Greek word, politics, poly meaning many, and ticks meaning little blood-sucking creatures. All right. So let's venture to yesteryear. Just to say, anybody here from EOPS? So, very good, thank you. Okay, I don't know, maybe you were there. I was the keynote speaker at the EOPS conference at Election Day, and I came in with the whole presentation about the Clinton victory and what that meant, how to analyze it, break it down all the states, and why that would be good for EOPS. Oops. I actually was up, because my speech was on Thursday. I arrived there on Election Day. I was up 2 full nights redoing the presentation, and that room was so silent. It was so scary. We woke up on Election Day seeing this, and this is what we got, okay? Now, there are 3 keys to a successful campaign, and frankly, let's put aside stuff that we know, voter suppression. Let's put that aside. Let's put aside stuff that we have a lot of confidence that may have influence, like Russian interference. We're going to put that aside. And we're going to break it down to any election. It even could be an election for a trustee here. There are 3 keys to a successful campaign. They all begin with M. What's the first? Beautiful. Okay, what's the second? Beautiful. What's the second? Oh, beautiful. Great. Say that again. Message. Oh, my God. And what's the third? It rhymes with globalization. Thank you. Okay. All right. So we had one campaign, the successful campaign, that had money and message and deferred its mobilization to the RNC. They didn't actually take care of mobilization on their own. And then we had another campaign who we found out later that their mobilization effort was actually deficient. During the campaign, we heard it was good. They certainly were imbued with a lot of money, but they had no message. 0 message. It takes all 3. Remember what Donald Trump said? I'm going to get your job back. That's what he said to them. He didn't say how, he didn't say why, he didn't say when. He said, I'm going to get your job back. The other message of the other campaign was simply that we're stronger together. That's not a message. So, this is going a little too fast here. So, sorry. Let's go back. Okay. So, this is the demographic that surprised everyone. These 2 next slides. What we typically know from American politics is that those with some level of college, it does not have to be a degree, tend to skew more liberal. For white males with a college degree, only 39% voted for Clinton. But this was the demographic that killed her, which is, for white females, she received only 51%. White women with a college degree. That statistic came out about 3 weeks after the election, And if you had to point to any one demographic group that said, why did the election go south for Clinton, it was this one. Now I'm going to show you something else here. If 1 out of 100 had flipped, and I am sure that everyone in this audience knows people who say, I don't vote, my vote doesn't count, I really don't care to vote, it's not important to me, this is for somebody else. If 1 out of 100 had flipped, this is what the map would have looked like. 1 out of 100. If anyone that you ever encounter in your entire life says, my vote does not matter, please refer them to this. So, we have a new dynamic, and it's something I have been in California politics since the mid-'80s. It's something that we have never seen before, which is a fight between what's happening in Sacramento and what's happening in Washington. I want to show this to you first. So this is the American political map, and I want to make an observation for you. Now, it's a little tricky because we know that Clinton won the popular vote by actually a fairly large margin. And so even though you see this large swath of red, that in fact the population centers are where the big vote totals came from, and they're more bluish. However, you look at this and you can't help but be struck by the fact that nearly all of what's called the flyover states are red. Nearly all of them. The whole country is red. And this is essentially, it's a county map. And you say, what is the appeal here? Why has the country adopted more of a conservative tilt as opposed to a more progressive tilt? And part of the answer actually comes back to the community colleges. Now, what we know is that whole portions of Ohio, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin were devastated over the past 20 years or so, NAFTA being a part of it. Not the only part, but being a part of it. Really, what it is it's globalization and technology, but again, accelerated by NAFTA. Now, the promise from Democrats and Republicans alike, it doesn't matter whether it was W or was Clinton or whether it was Obama, said, you know what, look, we understand that there are winners and losers here, but there is going to be opportunity to train. So winners and losers is a little bit complicated because if somebody loses in Wisconsin and wins in California, how do you make that person in Wisconsin whole? And that, again, is tricky, particularly when they're used to being in certain industries and they say, well, you've got to shift, you've got to go to another industry. And so the answer for a lot of folks here in California, just out of show of hands, how many of you are born and raised here? Okay, so I'm going to say it's roughly 80%. This is your mindset here. It's this part of the country. But this part of the country is unusual because this part of the country, we have a community college in every single community, urban and rural and suburban. Doesn't matter. You will find a community college. In a large part of the country, you don't find it like that. So that while the community college is, in fact, your answer to saying, if you are a loser in terms of globalization and technology, we can bring you in and help you retrain so now you can become a winner in the new economy, there is no community college for you. Why? Because they're more in the rural areas than they are in the urban and suburban. And so you see whole communities that are devastated, mile after mile after mile after mile of devastation. No one's got an answer. They say, sure, there are winners, and then they will point to California, or they will point to other parts of the state. They point to North Dakota, other parts of the country, I mean, and say, well, North Dakota's got all this oil now. You can go over there. People don't want to go to North Dakota. They don't even want to go to California. They want to be where they want to be. And they don't have a proper mechanism like we do here. We take this for granted. But it's not something to take for granted. It's, in fact, something that we've worked on very deliberately. But let's compare this map to what happened in California. And you could see a very, very different story. And in fact, the red in each campaign is becoming more purple. The purple is becoming more blue. This is the way our state is going. So it's not surprising that there is a big clash of culture between Sacramento and Washington, D.C. Now, those of us who are kind of into the statewide politics know also that just between Southern California and Northern California, it's very, very different. And here we are in tech stuff. You know, I was born in Sig Alert. Don't hold that against me. When I'm in the Capitol, I happen to run into people from Cal Death Camp and from Texas and Big Volcano. And what I remind legislators is, look, once again, it is true this is a big state, and we have very, very, very different ideas. However, we've got community colleges everywhere, and they're all working real well. So in Washington, this was the slogan, Make America Great Again. And in California, there was a statement. I'm not going to read this to you, the whole thing, but I do want to say, this is what our legislative leaders said the day after the election. While Donald Trump may have won the presidency, he hasn't changed our values. America is greater than any one man or party. We will not be dragged into the past. We will lead the resistance. Can you imagine here, two legislative leaders who say we were going to lead the resistance to any effort that would shred our social fabric or our Constitution. California was not a part of this nation when its history began, but we are clearly now the keeper of its future, you and me. So there's a back and forth, and this is what it is. So I'm going to show you some of the allegations going and the kind of the sparring. Trump, California is out of control, and what does our governor says? Well, we're going to build our own damn satellites. Oh, Trump Care, that we can lose 5 million under Trump Care. And what do we debate in Sacramento? How do we go towards more of a Canadian-style single-payer system? Trump administration is looking to score off of our coasts, and what do we respond with? Is that we're looking for efforts to block them. And this goes on and on and on, incidentally. So now I'm going to actually show you how this translates into action, this very thing that we see in the press. Okay, so this is Senate Bill 30. So what this says is that any business who is putting in any kind of bid to work on this wall barrier thing between the United States and Mexico will not be able to do business with the state of California, the world's 6th largest economy. This is Assembly Bill 21, and this bill would create sanctuary environment in higher education. This bill is Senate Bill 6, and this pumps in state money into legal services, those who are affected by ICE and other Trump policies. But this is the big one, Senate Bill 54. If you're going to follow any of them, I recommend you look at this one. This is the one that creates the sanctuary state. This is the one that's making the news all the time. And this is Senate Resolution number 35, and this is the one that says if you're going to be drilling off the coast, then the state's going to take steps against you. So take a look at this. Now, individual taxpayers, how much they would save by the latest tax proposal. Incidentally, this is the reason why Trump wants to repeal the Affordable Care Act, is to provide this tax break, and you could see where the money would go. It would go towards him. Certainly would not go towards our students. This is the next battle. What do you see there? Thank you. SALT. SALT stands for state and local taxes. Okay? Imagine that. This is a little strange because this is the one time, even in California labor wars, where there is an alignment between those of high economic means and those of lower economic means. Because what the Trump administration wants to do is they want to repeal the deductibility for state and local taxes. Now, in high tax states like California, where we believe very seriously in public investment because we want to put money into public services like Kenyatta College, this is huge. And what we say to folks is, okay, you'll be able to deduct it off your federal income taxes. He wants to repeal that. Specifically, it would harm those states that voted against him, most notably California, New York, Massachusetts, those states with a little bit higher level of economic and social investment in our own communities. And of course, states like Texas and Alabama and such, not so much. So in terms of the president's proposed budget, you see some of the winners and losers here. Who are the winners? The Defense Department, even though the Defense Administration themselves, they haven't asked for it, but that's where the money would go. Who are the losers? Well, education is a big loser in all of this. In fact, I was just on a kind of a snap mission to Washington about a month and a half ago. We left on a Sunday, came back on a Tuesday, and a day and a half tried to meet with as many members of Congress as possible to explain to them the devastating consequence to the California community colleges if the Trump budget were enacted. And this is what it does to the education budget, excluding Pell Grants. But for purposes of Kenyatta College, the biggest level of devastation would be both in financial aid as well as in workforce education, which is a place that we've made some strides over the past few years here in Sacramento. Now, contrast that. Remember, this is a whole study in contrast. The state put a lot of money in this last budget, and our governor, who's known for being somewhat frugal, in fact, put money into K-12 and community colleges, a lot of it with our collective hard work, as well as programs to help California's most needy citizens. And that's, I have to say, for Governor Brown, he doesn't like making longer-term commitments because he understands that state budgets, they rise and they fall, and so if we start to staff up, we don't want to have to then staff down. So he's very uncomfortable by doing that. However, he also recognizes that we are in somewhat extraordinary times. And like our legislative leaders said before, we have to hold on not just to our state's values. We have to essentially set for the country. We have to set a tone. We have to set an example that's different than what's coming out of Washington, because we're not seeing any morality out of Washington. We're seeing the morality out of different places. And so he was a little bit more accommodating to say, let's take a look at some of the programs that have been ignored, both in terms of social services and in education. And for the community colleges, and I understand that your district is basic aid, which means that in terms of what's called the base apportionment, you're not getting the money in Sacramento, but for a lot of the districts, they got a very, very, very nice bump, which is good in terms of the base augmentation, $181 million. That was really tremendous. But in terms of some of the stuff that is important for here, I'm going to go back to this. I have the big one, and this is in one-time. See, this is all one-time funds. So the last one was in ongoing. There's $150 million. This is this top one, and what's called guided pathways. I'll talk about that in a little bit, and I know some of you may be aware of it, others for you it may be a little bit new. But you see down at the bottom, there's a couple of those down at the bottom, and I just want to also point out to you, do you see where it says mental health? It's about 3 up from that blue line down at the bottom. That's something that we've been pushing for, and that's money that you're going to receive, because we have a much stronger understanding today of the range of services that our students need, and also that classroom faculty need a place to refer students beyond simply saying, take a break, take a Tylenol, that, in fact, we need a certain level of professional assistance, and we need it not to be stigmatized. To say, go take a bus, go to downtown somewhere, and wait 2 hours at a family service agency, and you may be able to see an intake counselor. That's not a response. That, in fact, if we are truly interested in our students, we have to bring folks onto campus, even if it's once a week. We need social workers. We need psychologists. We even need psychiatrists at times. To say, you know what, I'll meet with you in a familiar, non-threatening environment. And we tried this last year. We were unsuccessful. But we pushed ahead again this year. There's a name that you might remember, Darrell Steinberg. He's the mayor of Sacramento now, but he was the leader of the state senate. And when he was in the legislature, he was the one who pushed for that ballot initiative that actually fulfilled the promise dating back to Jerry Brown's Father's Day, where when we closed the doors of the state mental institutions because we used to warehouse people, we said, you know what? There's going to be money in the community that follows you. But who followed Governor Brown Sr. was Ronald Reagan in Sacramento. And he never put the money in. That goes back 40-something years ago. And so when Darrell Steinberg was in the legislature, he said, you know what? I think we can do better. Believe it or not, there's a surplus in that fund. We want to take that money and bring it to the colleges. Use it for the same purpose. It's consistent with the voter intent. But we think that everybody is going to benefit from that. We got a lot of support from the unions, a lot of support from the academic senate, but mostly we got support from the students. And I'll tell you, we packed the halls. And they were terrible stories, terrible stories. We heard too many stories of suicides, but we also heard stories of all sorts of abuse. And no one was available. Nobody could help them. That's got to change. So $5 million is not a lot in our system, but it's a start. And we're going to continue to press on that. Okay. We're going, hello. This is all in the wrist action here. Okay. Is there a trick to this? Okay. This is the latest out of Sacramento. This just came out. Raise your hand if you've seen this. Just a few. Okay. What I recommend is go to the FAC website. You'll see this on a banner. FAC is F-A-C-C-C, 3 C's, like chocolate chip cookie. Because if you only do 2 C's, you'll get like the Finnish American Chamber of Commerce. That's not us. Okay? I want you to just take a look at what they're saying at the state. Because ultimately, this will provide a broad framework. And, oh, here we go. No? Okay. You know, sometimes the state of California gets stuck. So here we go. So here are the principles that they're looking at the state level. And you can see that essentially, just like Trustee Moore and President Moore discussed, and as you are all focused, you want to have an emphasis on students and to say, how is it at the end of the day we are going to do better by our students? These are all very lofty principles. I have to say on their own, they're nice to read. We believe very strongly at the Faculty Association that doing better by our students also means doing better by our faculty. That in fact, you need support if they're going to succeed. And I'll discuss that in a moment, but I do want to show you that there is one page here that has generated a lot of conversation and a little bit of concern. Some people are very happy about this, but others are not. And it says the chancellor should encourage the Board of Governors, that's the State Board of Governors, to seek ways to use flexibility as a tool for motivating change and best practices when possible. For instance, the chancellor's office should explore ways to loosen or waive those categorical program requirements that are barriers to thoughtful innovation. Oftentimes, the political answer to any question is, well, how do I reduce regulation? You think that the more flexibility, the better. Evidence doesn't necessarily bear that out, and I'll tell you why. because in the civil rights arena, oftentimes it's the higher levels that you go that protect the civil rights, and community colleges are civil rights institutions. They're meant to serve our communities democratically. So the idea that we just simply look to loosen regulation may sound good, but it's fraught with all sorts of challenges, and it's something that we're going to have to examine very carefully. Now, I mentioned guided pathways, and guided pathways means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. So this is from the California guided pathways here, that there are 4 pillars, that we want to create more clear curricular pathways, help students choose and enter, help students stay on their path, and ensure that learning is happening with intentional outcomes. So I'll give you a very California-ish metaphor. There's a lot of freeways here, as you all know. And sometimes, I'm sure you've all hosted people from out of state, and you say, oh, you just get on this freeway and you transition to that freeway and you transition to that freeway and then you're there. And people from other states go, whoa, this seems pretty complicated. Particularly if you go to Oakland, you go to that maze, wow. I'm Los Angeles, I grew up, is anybody here from LA? Oh, okay, this part of the room, right. So the 4 level, you know, I mean, anybody who's experienced the 4 level, wow. That's also, for those of you who are not from LA, there is a part where there's 4 freeways on top of one another, and they're all going in different directions. So the idea here is, I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, but we want to build a gigantic freeway system for our students. But what we want to do is we want to show them where the on-ramps are, and we want to show them where the off-ramps are, and say how you can get on and how you can get off easily. And just make it a little bit more clear. Hopefully there won't be any SIG alerts. That's an LA reference. Okay. And there are key elements to the guided pathways conversation. Now, guided pathways has already been taking place at a national level. And in fact, that there has been a demonstration project where 20 colleges in the state have participated in. But this is going to be the first time that we're actually going to get money, because to participate in guided pathways before actually cost money. Here's the thing, is that this is all very noble in terms of helping our students. But we need to remember, and I know that you know this, that our students need more than clear pathways. Our students need access to their instructors. Our students also need a bigger complement of full-time faculty. Our students need the services that are geared towards them. And the idea that we're going to be working in a framework and not addressing these does not necessarily move the needle, and that's something that we've noticed with the Student Success Money, $600 million. And so this is where the legislature is actually putting its attention, and this is a good thing. Once again, community college mental health. There's a lot of legislative attention on this. And student hunger, food insecurity. This is something that is also being drawn to our attention and to the legislature's attention. I mentioned before about full-time faculty. We're not going to be able to move the needle where we are. San Mateo District is doing better than others. That's good. That's a good thing. The last time our system reported, we were at an average of 56.4%. That is 20 points below our stated goal of 75%. It is impossible to say to students, you know what, you do not have access to your part-time faculty member's office hour, but by the way, that there is a student success report or a guided pathways program that's going to move you through. It doesn't work that way, and we know that, because when we boil down teaching and learning, we end up with one student and one teacher. It's all of you. And then we have to build around that with the essential services and show them how to do it, but also be for them through the process. This is something that we're doing in Sacramento. This is taken on by the Faculty Association. This is what's called an assembly resolution. It doesn't go into law, but it has to go through the entire process, and it basically tells the Chancellor's Office from the legislature, hey, we want to know what your game plan is. How are we going to get to that 75% goal? How are we going to get to an office hour for every part-time faculty, as well as full compensation for the part-time faculty, and for non-credit too. That investment in faculty is an investment in students. And thank God, we are doing real well with this. We are moving this through the process, and we anticipate this is going to get to the finish line. Now, this is something you should all give yourselves a hand, because this was taken on by the AFT, and your chancellor has been a big part of that. He's been a big help. But there's been an announced settlement in a lawsuit against the ACCJC, which means that our accreditation process should hopefully align with that of the rest of the country. And you, as the faculty, will not have to worry so much that something is going to happen to your institution like CCSF, which was lauded for being one of the best institutions in the country in terms of their outcomes, and then nearly lost their accreditation. That in fact we need an accreditation commission that is transparent, that works on our best interests, and from firsthand experience I could tell you that their message in the last many years has been off, because what they've been saying to the folks in DC, and I've been back and forth there to testify, is they have been saying, we protect higher education by eliminating educational opportunity. That's not a message. And so we have a new leadership at the ACCJC, and with this lawsuit being settled, we expect better things ahead. But there is uncertainty, and this is where I'm going to transition from the present to the future. What are we going to do as a state? Really, what are we going to do as a state, given the dynamics in Washington, D.C., and how are we going to mobilize, and how are we going to be able to protect our communities and our institutions? And there's two ideas here. One way is called Bluexit. Well, there's a new name, CalExit. This was a very prominent piece. Did anybody read this? Raise your hand if you read this one. No? Very prominent piece that was written, I think, about last April, that suggested that the blue states say to Washington, you know what? Fine. We will adopt a states' rights platform just as the red states did when Obama was president. And we will push for low federal taxes and low federal participation, and California can join together with Oregon and Washington, even Massachusetts, whomever, and we can build the best transportation systems, we could build the best hospitals, we could do single payer, and we could do the best higher education. And we're going to do it on our own. Now, there's a competing vision. It says the whole idea of red states and blue states is PowerPoint fiction based on simplistic depictions and a stereotype. The fact is states aren't red or blue, communities aren't, even individuals aren't. So now's the moment to reach into these supposedly irredeemable places, because millions of people in these red states are reaching out in pursuit of tests, challenges, and progress, no matter what their throwback legislators say. I agree with that. I do. I think the whole idea of saying we're going to do it on our own is destructive. And I think that we can show the rest of the country what our values are and how we're doing economically. We're actually doing pretty well. And we can say, by embracing a model that's inclusive, that focuses on education, that says that everybody has a place, this is appealing. It's appealing. So, beyond anything else, this was written by David Frum, who's conservative. He's a big critic of the administration in Washington, but he said, beyond anything else, we must rebuild the guardrails of democracy for a brighter and more stable future. Raise your hand if you agree with that. He said the following. He said, you know what? Trump didn't destroy the guardrails of our democracy. He found them broken. And he knew how to run over them. So the idea is, if we say, you know what, we're going to go towards a CalExit, We're not rebuilding the guardrails of democracy. We're not rebuilding social responsibility. In fact, what we saw in Charlottesville would just repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat. And it's easy because I know you have a lot of students who probably felt very disaffected, and I'm going to talk about that in a moment. Some of you may have felt very disaffected in this last election. But you have to ask yourself, what kind of community and what kind of state and what kind of country do you want to live in? What is your vision? Is it a vision that everybody is constantly fighting with one another? Or is there a vision of engagement? So, in order to do that, in order to look ahead, we have got to bridge that demographic divide. This is stuff from when I was younger. I like this better. iPhone, YouTube. Okay, some of you get this, okay? It's this part of the room. Honestly, I remember growing up and not knowing whether to give my finger the ride back when I dialed 0 or just to watch the thing go back. And this is much better than when we get out of Washington. Incidentally, I have 2 sons. So my older son's 25. When he was in high school, some of his friends came over and they saw our phonograph album, because I've still got albums back from the 60s and 70s. Oh my God, one of his friends said to me and said, "Oh, you are so cool, you've got a spinning machine." Oh, this is what we know from the next generation. I really enjoy your political Facebook posts, said no one ever. But social media is really important. But let's take a look at the next generation. Let's take a look at what happened. So if you want to ask, why is the next generation disaffected? Take a look at this. Wages across industries fell for younger folks between 2007 and 2013. Take a look at this. If you are under 35, take a look at your savings. It's gone down. There is a sense in this country that if you are young, you are going backwards. This is relatively new in contemporary history. And so this was the approach. Because a number of folks who said that they were for Bernie Sanders said, "I will also look at Donald Trump." Why? Because they were the outsiders. They both positioned themselves. I mean, I understand Bernie Sanders is the head of the Senate Budget Committee. He's not an outsider, but that's where he positioned himself, was as an outsider. Clinton was the insider. And this was the feeling. It's not about Democrat or Republican. It's about insider or outsider. This is why you had a lot of folks who voted for Obama voted for Trump. And so, help me out here. What do you think that millennials distrust today? Anything? Anybody? Everything. Okay. I'm going to give you something. Marriage. Marriage is being postponed by this new generation. Organized religion. There's disaffiliation rates across the board. Politics is the third. Okay, let's go to the other column. What do they trust? Social media, right. So this is the answer. They trust their friends. They trust their friends. And they trust their friends. Which tells us something. Which is to say that if we want to motivate the next generation, it's not about talking to them one-on-one, but it's talking to them as a group and letting them talk with one another, because that's the way they relate. So we know there's going to be a new election, and we have to get folks involved. And one of these guys is going to be governor. Who's this? Right. Somebody said Matthew McConaughey. No, it's Gavin Newsom, okay? Who's that? Antonio Villaraigosa. Who's that? John Chong, right. Who's that? Delane Easton. Wow, somebody knows the stuff here. Okay, that's a harder one. Who's this? Travis Allen, state assembly member from Huntington Beach. He's not considered to be in the top tier of candidates. Who's that? Football player from the 1960s. He was actually when Bobby Kennedy was. Sorry? Rosie Greer. That's right. Yep. Who's that? Nobody knows this one. This is John Cox. Okay, he's another Republican who's running. He's a self-made guy. Now, anybody know who this is? Eric Garcetti. He's not jumped in. He's not declared, but he is a possible. There's another possible who's not up here. I actually removed him, but now I put him back in the possible list as Tom Steyer. One of those folks is likely to be governor. Now, if we look ahead to the federal, I want to show you this. For the U.S. Senate, what the polling suggests now is that the Republicans do very well in this next election, notwithstanding Donald Trump. And they may do the same in the Congress. Okay? It's complicated. It is. But this is where the polling suggests. I'm going to take a brief diversion here and say that as we move forward, I would like you to be part of this effort. I would like you to be part of making change. I would like you to stand up as a faculty member and say, we don't do this alone, we do it together. We do it with our union, we do it with our academic senate, we do it with our association. Because together, we can protect our institutions, we can advance our faculty, and we can also help our students. Many of you have not heard of the Faculty Association of California Community Colleges. I understand this might be your first opportunity. I would tell you that your union president is a member. Sandra Satterfield, who I understand has just retired, used to be one of our officers. And I am very fortunate to be here after 18 and a half years at this job. I cannot ask state legislators to do something for you or for your students or members of Congress to do something for you or for your students unless I can talk to you as well. For those who join, there's a little box up in the membership corner here. It says sponsor, and if you put Kenyatta College, and if you join, if you're a new faculty member, you'll write new faculty, Kenyatta College, we'll give you a year for free. If you are not a new faculty member, but you're not a member of FAC and would like to join, I got a little gift for you, which is if you're a full-time, and a full-time rate is $21 a month on a 10-month basis, it's payroll deduction. If you join through payroll deduction as a new full-time faculty member, we'll give you a $25 gas card, and we will send $25 in your name to your union, who will use it for scholarships. And for a part-time, it's only $7 a month on a part-time, for part-time faculty. We'll give $20, which if you don't write anything, we'll send you a gas card, but if you write, you'd rather do it for scholarships, we'll send it in your name for scholarships. But there are membership applications outside. And again, if you're a new faculty member, just write new faculty member and you can join for free for the first year. And it is important that we do this together because when you go through all this and you say, what is all ahead of us? We have to be united in this effort. So this is how we go from Congress and the legislature back and forth to here, Kenyatta College. It all boils down to the following: understanding our state and understanding our students. So this is our state, and I want you to look at this because we have to look going forward. Back in 1980, our state was 70%, a little bit over, Caucasian. And in 1980, we were about 30% non-Caucasian. When you get out to 2060, those numbers flip. That's our trend. We have to look at not points in time, which the legislature is prone to do, and Congress is absolutely prone to do, but we have to say, what are the trends moving forward? Now take a look at this one. This is our age. 18 to 24 has taken a nosedive. If you want to know why we're struggling with enrollment at so many districts, this is the answer. There's a lot of discussion that in periods of a strong economy that people would rather go to work than go to school. That's true, but that's really not the answer. This is the answer. Now here's the thing. Do you see how the biggest bar is 65 to 74? That's going to move over. In about 10 years, that's going to be 75 plus. It's going to get a lot more expensive. And when it goes to 75 plus, do you see the 0 to 17? That's down. That's going to come up. So this is what we're going to have. It's like a football goal. Only the problem is that this side and this side cost the society a higher level of investment. It's the middle that pays for it. Now here's the problem. I'm going to boil everything I said to you down into a few sentences here. A lot of what we're designing at the state level is geared towards that 18 to 24-year-old demographic. If we put a sign outside of Kenyatta College and says, we're open for the community, but by the way, we would really love you if you went full-time, how many 25 to 65-year-olds would show up? Very few. They would say, this place is unfriendly. I love the idea that you have your outreach committee. They've done such a good job in the community. That's really tremendous. And anything that I could do to help you with that, I will. Absolutely. But I really want you to study this, because where we need to put our money is not just into the 18 to 24-year-olds. We need to put our money to the 25 to 64-year-olds. We need to say, and incidentally, and 65 to 74, absolutely. But we need to say, come take a class. Come see what continuing education is. Come upgrade your skills. Come get exposed to something you did not know. And not put barriers in front of those students, and not make the registration process so complicated for them. And say, you're welcome to come, because they come, their kids come, their neighbors come. Now, this is our job market. Our job market is doing better. It's even doing better still since then. But this is our poverty rate, 16.8%. And if anybody stands up and says our poverty rate is 16.8%, don't believe them, because our poverty rate is actually higher. It's 23.4%. It's different measurement. This is a more accurate measurement of what it means to be in California. So we have a very strange paradox where we're struggling with enrollment, but our poverty rates are high. That does not make any sense. We should have these folks lining up to take our classes and say, how do I get in? So this is what we know from living in the Bay Area, that it takes 6 figures to live in the Bay Area. And you know what the cost of housing is here. Ridiculous. And when we boil it down, we actually think of the state in 5 economic components. I want you to clap if you have had any student, anytime you see one of these 5, in your classroom. Here's the first one. This is the image California, Shangri-La's. This is what we present to the world in our TV and our movies. Clap if you've had one of these people in your classroom. Here's the next one, Metro Coastal, the next 18%. This is kind of like where most of us aspire to be, where we have a house and we have a car and we're not so concerned about where our next paycheck is coming. Clap if you've had people in this. Here's the next one, Main Street, California. Next 38%. Folks struggling to pay the rent, but they do pay it. Folks struggling to pay the car, not a very nice car, but it gets from point A to point B. Clap if you've had people in your classroom. Now, the next 38%, they're in subsidized housing. Not affordable housing, subsidized housing. They don't have a car. They're taking public. Clap if you had people in this. Here's the last group. They don't have a house, and they don't have a car. They may not even get to take the bus. They're doing whatever they can to survive. If they can get food in their mouths, they're happy. Clap if you've had, folks. So here's the point. The point is that we serve everyone. And if at any point we cut it off and we say that we are forgetting a certain demographic, we are not serving our community. And so when we go from Kenyatta College we have to take that into account to say, we don't love sections of our community. We love our entire community. So I want to conclude with two things. I just want to put this all in a kind of a big perspective for you, putting not our state or our community, but our country in context of the rest of the world. We have a mythology in this country that we have tremendous social mobility. It's not really true. It says the odds are the young person will be in higher education is if his or her family has had a low level of education are particularly small in the United States. That in fact, relative to the rest of the world, that to get somebody into college, the best indicator in this country is whether their parents went to college. Now, that's where the California community colleges and Kenyatta College can make a difference, can set an example for the rest of the country. But compared to the rest of the world, we're not doing a good job. But I want to show you this. The Organization Economic Cooperation and Development asked the question, who has the greatest return on investment in post-secondary education? The answer is Hungary. Number 2 is the United States. That means that despite everything else, $1 invested in post-secondary education in Kenyatta College in the United States goes further, not just in terms of economic development, that's only one indicator, but in terms of building our communities, building our families, building voter participation and community participation. $1 invested in higher education here goes further than every other developed country in the world except for Hungary. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. So when you talk to your students, you tell them, you know what? There's a reason to put more money into you. It's not because we're not doing a good job. In fact, it's because we're showing that the money and the time and effort that we're putting into you is paying off. And in the end, people who say, we don't need no education, yes you do, you just used a double negative. Thank you so much. I went over.
Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you very much. It's very informative. I know we're running over time. I just need 2 more minutes. Thank you for that, and thank you for those wonderful connections in reference to California and Kenyatta. I just wanted to also take this opportunity to not only wish you a successful year, but as I wrapped up my first year here at Kenyatta, and one of the things that I took to heart was I spent an entire year listening and reaching out, because those were 2 important things that Kenyatta College told me they wanted me to do and they wanted to see happen in administration. I also took some time to really listen, but to reach out and speak and spend some time with Tom Moore. And so Tom may not always want to acknowledge this, but you know, when it comes to leadership and mentoring, for those of you who love Star Wars, he's like Yoda. And I just want to say that it's not often that you get to have a former college president who's now the president of the Board of Trustees that we have complete and open access to. And so I hope that you know that I try to include and invite Tom to Kenyatta as much as possible because it makes us better. And as you heard him say on this stage so clearly, is that it's not about individuals, it's about the collective and the partnership. And so when you take the opportunity to take another look at or to look at the email welcome back message that I sent, because I knew we wouldn't have a lot of time on stage, and plus before I wanted to start by acknowledging you and your accomplishments, even though Megan was in the back of the room. So I was trying to read really fast, not that I just had a lot of coffee, is because you've let me know that it's about the group, it's about Kenyatta, it's about the family, it's about the partnership, it's not about me. And so recognizing that and understanding how important that is, my message to you is to continue to move forward courageously means that we do it in partnership. My vision is consistent with our educational master plan because that's what we do in partnership. And so one of the things that I say as I get up every morning, because I'm a spiritual person, is give me the ability, Lord, to not lead by fear, but to lead by courage. And the only way you can do that is to reach out and to do it in partnership. And I also want to take a moment to thank Tom Moore, because I really believe that I would not have been successful in doing that this past year and working more closely had it not been for your support and your insight. And so, Tom, we are so grateful to you. We're thankful for you, and we're really excited that we get to have you as our board president, because we know that that helps to elevate Kenyatta. Because what we do is that we take lives and we transform them. And many of those lives are marginalized students. But I'm so excited to be a part of that opportunity in partnership with you. So I'm going to take a page out of Tom Moore's playbook and say to you, I want to be better. I want to work more closely with you to be better in partnership so that we can serve our students. So I wish you all a successful Flex Day and a successful year. We will be talking more. I still have my office hours that will start up again next week. We'll be inviting Tom Moore on campus as much as we can because we love you and we support you and we appreciate you. But I want to thank all of you for a wonderful last year, and I know we'll have a great fall and a great academic year. So thank you very much.